Hello and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3 here on HeflaTV 2. This is going to be our last series for the day, and it is going to be House of Gamers versus Fabios 5. This is going to be a best of 2, and well, I'm not sure if we have any other games running at the same time, but as for your casters today, I'm going to be Grandis V, and for the first time in a long time, I'm going to be joined by Coucher.
Yes, I am here. Hopefully my mic works as well. It should, at the very least.
Yeah, it's
Score. Yeah.
loud and clear.
I just... my output is different to my headset at the moment since I have to start my own stream in half an hour, so I can still be here for the full hour before my own game starts, because the output is different now, but in any case, the draft, it has unraveled pretty damn fast for the time being. The bans as well as the picks as House of Gamers, they go for the tried and tested Faceless Void and Skyrim Mage combination. You really can't go wrong with those two picks, can you?
You really can't. Like, Faceless Void, you can lane him as a safe laner, you can lane him as an off laner, you could even put him mid in certain matchups, and no matter what, he's still going to offer the Chronosphere, and with the Scarth Mage already a solid support on his own, having the synergy, keeping somebody in place for a full duration Mystic Flare is really strong. Fabios 5 or no slouches either with their first two picks. They have the Doom. If they catch the Faceless up before he gets his Chronosphere off, that could be pretty huge in team fights, and they'll also just have two really tanky frontliners. One of them is probably going to be building mech.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I hope that Fabulous 5 will ban out now is the Ancient Apparition. Although Skyrim Ancient Apparition, neither of those heroes have a solid stun, so that is one of the downside if you run those two as the supports. But Ancient Apparition, it kind of wrecks the Doombringer. Doombringer otherwise rather tanky, has the score surf as well to get the health per second regeneration. But if you get hit by an Ice Blast, especially in the Chrono, the Doombringer suddenly ain't all that tanky anymore. Viper, of course, will still at least have the corrosive skin to just tank up everything almost.
Yeah, and well, the next couple of bans are coming out. A lot of our premier supports are being taken out in the form of the Shadow Shaman and Earthshaker not going to be available. And as far as cores, Tinker is going to be banned out by Fabulous 5.
It just makes sense. I mean, Faceless Void Stinker, it is a cancerous kind of combination, is the way to put it, I guess. Plus, I mean, even if there wasn't a Faceless Void, Tinker is hard enough to deal with as it is. You have to have a rather special draft to deal with him, unless you just completely out-aggress the enemy early on and not have the Tinker just get online at all. But House of Gamers banning out a Shadow Shaman first. Secondary ban, I actually have no idea what to ban since Viper and Doombringer, they don't really give away too much about their next pick, but Shadow Demon was the ban, just eliminating a defensive hero that could work against Faceless Void and Skywrath.
Yeah, inside the Chronosphere, whoever's gone on can be defensively disrupted up, or ideally defensively disrupt the, disrupt up the Faceless Void. And also, if you get shot by the Mystic Flare, the defensive disruption can delay a lot of that damage. House of Gamers go for the Wraith King. That's probably the best support still left in the pool. It works really well with the Scarth Mage as roaming duo, and all around, just a really solid pair. Wraith King can later translate into a more of a carry role as he picks up some more items and farm, but yeah, I do like the Wraith King pickup here.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid pickup at the moment. Just the combination is pretty damn strong. But Fabulous 5 now, do they think that Wraith King is going to be a support or a core one? I would definitely love it as a support more, especially up against the Viper, otherwise just Kite Fest for the win.
Yeah,
so
I definitely would favor the support Wraith King, because if he gets doomed or they commit a lot of spells like from the Viper and whatnot towards him, he doesn't really care. He's just going to reincarnate after that, and then you've just wasted like a Doom on a Wraith King, and that's going to be better for the rest of his teammates. And if they do put him in that core position, as you said, he'll just be kited for days. Too many ways to keep the Wraith King at arm's length, and he won't have as much uptime as he wants on his auto attacks.
Yeah, it's pretty important that he does have that if it's a core one, but a Witch Doctor pickup for Fabulous 5, it would have been a hero possibly that I could have seen for House of Gamers had they not picked up a possible support Wraith King together with a Skyrim Mage. But, I mean, Witch Doctor, it has become way more popular nowadays, just people beginning to understand the strength of that hero, man. The Voodoo Restoration is such a sick ability.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, although it doesn't look like it does that much because of the small amounts of damage per tick it heals very fast, and that's going to be about 40 HP per second, and when you think about it, that's ridiculous. And although it doesn't scale as well as your healing ward coming up from your Juggernaut, it's still going to function very similarly. And in those early pushes that we're seeing very often, it's just so great for sustaining these heroes. And it's going to make the Doom and Viper very hard to take down. And then out on top of that, if you get a nice cast, you can get a good ultimate off, even without external setup.
It is definitely true at the moment, but the fourth pick about to come out, are there any just certain heroes that come to mind for you that should or just would be nice if House of Gamers picked up? Maybe something like an Invoker for their mid lane?
Yeah, Invoker if they want to pick up their mid hero. If that's a safe lane farming Void, I'd like to see a Tidehunter maybe. But yeah, I think Invoker's a solid pick if they have the player to back up that hero. If they're not comfortable with it, I don't think it's a great choice. But if they like the hero, it's going to offer a lot of pushing power as well as just a lot of damage into the chrono. Instead, they go for Wraith King. And that Scarlet Mage Wraith King Rana tri-lane is pretty potent, although it's not as much guaranteed setup as something like a Shadow Demon or a Bane.
Yeah, it's not the best like you just mentioned, but a potent one nonetheless. So if they want to go aggressive tri lane, leave a Faceless Void up against a what will most likely be a Doombringer off lane. I actually really love Faceless Void against Doombringer just because, at least most of the time, it's a complete brawl. Just from the get-go almost, both of them try to right-click each other down. Especially the Faceless Voids are usually going to go on the aggressive. And Fabulous 5, they're going for the Ancient Apparition themselves. I mean, Witch Doctor, Ancient Apparition, it feels like they have the Faceless Void here.
Yeah, it really does. They are lacking that big teamfight setup, and honestly, I think they kind of need that in their last pickup. If it's not banned out, I think they'll pick up the Tidehunter for themselves, and then safe lane farm the Doom, put the Viper mid, and then have Tide off lane. But yeah, they're just lacking a lot of what they need to get these two supports into relevancy. They need to land their Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, which is wonderful if you can. Just freehand that, but without any setup for the Witch Doctor or Death Ward, it does look and feel kind of like they have a Faceless Void on their team. Although, if House of Gamers, their Faceless Void is a little bit off the money with those Chronospheres, maybe they do have that sixth player.
Oh man, that would be fun for us to see. House of Gamers probably wouldn't be too happy about that. But now, Invoker was banned by Fabulous 5, and I guess it would have been a logical conclusion to just go for a Invoker mid lane, which has great synergy with the Faceless Void. Plus, of course, if you're going for aggressive tri lane, just the possibility of having the Sunstrike to follow up, it would be like a quad lane almost, just with the burst damage coming in. So, do you think that if House of Gamers, we can't say for sure what, a Lina? Is it mid lane Lina or mid lane Skyraf here?
I hope this is a mid Lina. more than anything because I want to see a mid lane Lina. But also I think that she'll scale a little bit better with farm than the Scarlet Mage. Although Sky is going to get a lot of extra rotations with his ultimate and what have you, I think Lina can kind of function the same way. And then she actually scales pretty well as a right-clicking hero. With the Fiery Soul, and it's something that I wasn't anticipating, but if they do start out with the Wraith King, Wraith Fire Blast into Lina stun, and then Mirana on top of it, she could fit very well into the tri-lane as well. I don't know, it's a hero that we don't see very often, and for good reason. She's kind of outclassed in a lot of ways by Lion. Mostly because his spells are more guaranteed that they're going to hit. You can unit target the Earth Spike, and he has the Hex as well. Yeah, so because of that, I'm inclined to believe that this is a mid Lina, because if they just wanted, like, the super burst damage coming out from her as well as the lockdown, I think they would have gone for the Lion.
It might be, but in the chat, actually, even before those picks came out, even before the Mirana was picked, 7KD1, he said, Void plus Sky, Lina mid. I'm not too sure if it's a House of Gamers thing or what they like to run, because I myself haven't casted House of Gamers for a really long time, unfortunately. Just Season 2 was the last time, I think, so maybe it is going to be Lina mid. That doesn't matter to me, Lina mid or Skyraf Mage mid. I'll still be rather happy about it because that just means that there's going to be lots of action. But Fabulous 5, a Magnus now, and a Magnus Witch Doctor combination is one I've been dying to see for a long time. I just hope that the Malediction is going to get leveled up here.
Yeah, this is the wombo they needed in their combo, so to say, is they needed some way to set up that big AoE team fight, and even if they're behind, the hope is there for like a 4-man RP into the Witch Doctor with the Ancient Apparition ultimate flying. It's going to be ridiculous if they can actually coordinate that. A lot is going to rest on the head, or on the shoulders rather, of this Magnus played by Top, as if he doesn't land those RPs, this Magnus pick could have been better suited to something else.
Yeah, it's always a little bit scary if you're playing a hero such as Magnus or Enigma. Just the possibility of you completely whiffing your ultimate, and well, not only will your teammates probably flame you to death for it, most of all the viewers will just 3-2 and hate and whatnot. But of course, if you go just balls deep and you succeed, you can be the hero of the game as well. It's hit or miss. So hoping for the best at the moment for that certain player, the hero. But everybody has loaded in, but there's still a pause.
Yeah, well, the pause will give us time to introduce our players and the heroes that they're going to be playing on. And on the dire side, we are going to have House of Gamers with Malum taking up the Wraith King, Shlij playing on the Mirana, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, SLHTD, and Key playing on the Skywrath Mage, Benzer, going to take him to Mirana, or Lina, excuse me, that is their mid player, so I think this is a mid Lina and possibly just an HOG exclusive. And we're going to have Bado, he's a stand-in, going to be playing on the Faceless Void.
And for Fabulous 5 top, we'll be playing the Magnus, leaving Gimli to play the Ancient Apparition, Blomst or just Tenden playing the Viper, leaving Kavorza on the Doombringer, and the last one for them will be Tip on the Witch Doctor. And actually, just before this game started, I asked, what player was it? Yes, the Mirana. How the hell do you pronounce that name? And he said just every letter separately, like SLHC. But it's so hard to say that. But I love how you put it, man. Especially, I think it was yesterday or the day before you casted them as well. And during the team fight, you pronounced it just like you did. I was like, oh my god, that was way too awesome.
It's so clunky though, like SLHZ, that's too many syllables. I don't know.
Yeah,
needs to
I
be
agree.
An easier way.
Well, I'm not too sure if your way is easier though.
Oh no, it's not. It really isn't. Oh. Yeah, we're
Mirana,
going to see...
it is. It's just Mirana.
Yeah. We're going to see the early words. Actually, a very interesting one being placed out by the Radiant that I haven't actually seen. I'm not sure if that blocks the camp. I don't think it does, but we'll give them Rune Vision. I don't think that's going to be dewarded because that's just a pain to actually get to.
Yeah, I don't think it blocks either. I remember a time when I started playing Dota and was playing in a team as a support. I actually went into just custom modes to try to find a ward position around the same area that would get the block. It would have been the counter to the just Radiant side block here, which gives Rune Vision and blocks the just double pull camp. But Key actually might be in some trouble. The paralyzing cast as well. If you want right clicks, they're gonna get it one more. Come on, they can't get in range. Are you kidding me?
Got a feeling this.
The movement speed on Skywrath Mage is too strong for the Ancient Apparition and Witch Doctor. They only got the one cast bounce, and that was all he needed. The salve saved his life. One more auto attack with Chilling Touch would have done it. It's going to cost Skywrath Mage a lot of regen and trip back to base, but definitely better than giving up the first blood. I don't know, if they're able to catch out a support like that, this tri-lane actually pumps out a lot of damage despite lacking the consistent lockdown that HOG are going to have in theirs. The Chilling Touch onto 3 ranged heroes is actually ridiculous, and they can stick onto a target very well. This Faceless Void needs to be playing very defensively and have that time lock on his trigger finger.
Yeah, and I actually really like Viper tri-lanes. That hero is just so crazy strong with his slows as well as his ability to tank, whereas Faceless Void, damage output-wise, he really doesn't provide anything. Yes, he has the time walk, but if he uses it aggressively, he's suddenly in such a weird situation that if they don't get the kills fast enough, he's probably just going to lose his life, even if they do get one kill in return. So this tri-lane has to be just extremely careful, and I guess that's exactly what they're trying to do. They are pulling as well. I'm a little bit surprised that, well, finally the sentry comes out to block the just pull camp from spawning. I would have expected them to do it from the get-go.
Yeah, it will give them a little bit of a reset in their lane equilibrium, but this lane is definitely going to push under tower, as well as with that extra melee creep added onto it. The lane equilibrium is only going to be there for this one wave of the Faceless Void, and I don't know, I'm not sure what this Wraith King and Skywrath Mage are going to be able to do to help out the Faceless Void. They might want to end up just sacking him and leave him like an offlane Faceless Void and put some pressure on this Magnus and Doom, which currently are just in their 1v1 matchups. Before some action breaks out in top, I'm going to go ahead and touch on a mid lane matchup. It's fairly spammy, and both heroes, they're fairly even as far as lasting is concerned, and the damage. I'm not sure how much Benzer plays as Lina, but if he's accustomed to it, the range is going to help him a lot, although the attack animation is abysmal. Bottom lane should be favored towards Zamrana once she gets that extra damage, but for now, Kavorska, he's going to be able to get up his farm, at the very least with Scorched Earth. Is up on top is where most of the action is going to lie. So without any support rotations coming out from HOG or from Fab 5, the tri-lane versus tri-lane scenarios where all of the kills should remain, unless we see a level 6 coming out for like the Magnus, Lina, or the Doom early on.
Yeah, and actually Benzer, he managed to bring top down to like 7 HP before, one right click and the Dragon Slave, but he was already in the safety of the trees, just right here at the tower. But oh, the skewer comes out, of course he's nowhere near actually getting a kill. I'm not too sure why he's going on the aggressive, but he wants to man mode it out against Lina.
Yeah, he'll have one more shockwave if he wants to throw it out, but he'll probably reserve that for the CS, and in the end takes a lot more damage than he bargained for. The Illusion Rune is there to refuel his bottle, as well as to give him that little extra of lane help, and the Lina is the one that's going to get this support rotation coming out from the smoke of the Skywrath as well as the Wraith King. They might be able to catch out this Magnus as he comes back into lane to get the first blood, although with the Illusion Rune, it's not going to be very hard to spot out the real Magnus as he did bottle up. Malum is going to show himself, and I don't think Magnus should die here now, because of the Wraith King taking that path through the river.
Yeah, it was a little bit questionable the way they went about it, and of course, now leaving Faceless Void on the safe lane, I guess is a little bit better off than possibly an offlane Faceless Void would have been against the exact same tri lane. But Faceless Void is not going to get anything. And Doombringer though, is he going to be in trouble? Malum gets the stun. He doesn't have the silence, but he will have the slow. And will it actually be enough? Fire Blast, does he have enough mana for a second one? One more second. If they get the stun, Kavorta is going to go down, and yes, the stun connects, but they need a little bit more. Actually, Scorcher, it's too strong, or is it one more right click? Holy crap, man. Everybody's escaping just barely.
And Key, he's diving the tower for this one. He only needs one tower shot trying to find the Doom. He doesn't have, or he does have one more Tango, and I don't know, the Doom, is he going to run the Skywrath Mage? One Arcane Bolt and an auto attack is all he needs, but the Psalm comes out from the Doom. The TP support, I don't think he's going to survive here. The Arcane Bolt, the auto attack, it's going to be there, but he's regenerating enough with the Tango. And now under tower, it looks like he's going to give the first blood, or will he? The one more auto attack is not enough. The Doom has enough. Oh my goodness, that Skywrath Mage wanted the kill so bad, but in the end the TP support coming out from Tib as well as Gimli was enough, and now they smoke up and potentially look for a kill of their own. They don't have enough mana for another War Stomp, and the Doom is going to give up the smoke in mid lane. I don't know, potentially just scaring the other couple of lanes, but Viper alone versus the Faceless Void is still going very well for the Viper, although it gives the Faceless Void a little bit more room to wriggle with as they go for the wraparound. No arrows coming out. The Chilling Touch, they're going to be able to get Malum very easily. Mirana looking for an arrow, but she's also going to fall fairly low. The leap away. Ancient Apparition survives some very low HP. He'll be forced back to base. But Fab 5, their rotations were just more on point. HOG dove a little bit too far for that Doom. They probably should have backed off.
Yeah, man, that that was some really weird engagements happening. And Doom, I'm not 100% sure, but it felt like that he got a proc of his Stout Shield with every Ancient Apparition right click.
It really
Not
did.
Ancient Apparition, the Skywrath Mage. Of course, Skywrath Mage's base damage really isn't too much to begin with, but Stout Shield helps out. And actually, Mirana, he's called Akira, man. I remember that somebody, I think it was Pullet, told me that once before when I casted the More Certa Aura Incerta game or something. I was like, is it him or not? But Akira is the Mirana after all. But oh,
Time look up
Blobs might
top.
be in trouble.
They're looking for the bash. The Wraithfire Blast is coming out. They have a lot of TP support coming in. It looks like the Viper is going to die. The Chilling Touch is there, and will they be able to get any return kills? It doesn't look like they will. Well, the cask is going to bounce. It's going to bounce back to Key. They don't have the damage coming out from Chilling Touch anymore. Now with the salve, it looks like everybody's going to survive coming out from HOG. So they get a much-needed kill onto the Viper up
Oh,
top.
Malum is not in the clear yet. One Shockwave is not going to be enough. He uses the Skewer as well to get up close. Shockwave, come on. He will need one more right click, maybe. Yes, man. Just there have been so many heroes to escape with sub 50 HP.
I mean, you may see like the kill score. It's only like 3 kills in at a 6-minute game, but there's been a lot of action. A lot of heroes are surviving with very little. There's just not a consistent amount of lockdown coming out from Fab 5. And once HOG drop their payload, they don't have much damage to follow it up either. So it's just the little things that make a difference, like the Stout Shield on the Doom, like the extra HP coming out from the branches on the Wraith King. It's all of the little things. It's game of inches, Dota 2.
By the way, how do you prefer your Magnuses? Do you prefer just going straight out Blink or Arcane Boots first?
I like just straight up Blink if you go for bottle. The extra spam is nice in theory, but you used to have to go for Arcane Boots. Now with the Blink Dagger not costing mana, I think it's a luxury that Magnus can afford to go for the straight up Blink, and he'll be able to make more usage out of that first RP.
Oh, but mid lane, Benzer might be in trouble, paralyzing cask with the cold feet. Skewer comes out as well, reverse polarity spent for it. Not entirely necessary, possibly, but kill secured.
I don't know, I think it's fine that they dropped the reverse polarity there. It's a 2-minute cooldown, which is significant for sure, but he doesn't have the Blink Dagger and won't for quite some time, and by the time he gets his Blink, he'll have another RP, and that's really when Magnus is going to start wanting to use those in not 1v1 scenarios. Just making sure that there's no TP support and no risky dives coming out is going to be to the benefit of Fab 5. I think that one's just fine.
I mean, I think early on it's definitely not too huge of a deal to use it, especially if you're planning to not rotate around too much, and with the way their lanes are going, I guess this should be rather fine with every single lane so far. So there's really no need for the Magnus to just try to make something happen that would be a little bit too forced, possibly. But game's paused, man. They said a second. Yes, a second. Hopefully Akira will be back soon enough, and looks like going for the drums. That's the rope of Magi is circlet as well to go for the bracers, I guess.
Yeah, I would assume so. It's kind of interesting to see the robe first. Usually you want the bracer, especially on Imrana. Although the extra mana is going to be useful since she is maxing out Starfall, so... I don't know, it's okay. Although, an interesting build path.
Yeah, I guess it's just because he could have gotten rope of the Magi from the side shop. So just bought anything that will help. I guess a little bit of extra mana pool, extra mana regeneration for a little bit as well. It's better than just having no items, I guess, in your inventory at the same time. Whereas Doombringer just has face boots for the time being. And usually if you have face boots, you could just go for drums on Doombringer. If he goes for mech now, he's gonna just be extremely starved for mana, I think.
Yeah, I think we're either going to see either just into the drums or into the blink.
Yeah, I mean, I just completely forgot or overlooked that they have a Viper anyway to build a mech for them, so all is good. I have to agree, just blink or drums, probably the best decision. And actually, who do you prioritize as a Doombringer in this game? Is it just shutting down the Faceless Void with your ultimate, or... I guess Lina or Faceless Void must be the scariest ones, really.
Yeah, if you can catch Faceless Void out before he gets his ultimate off, I think doom him 9 times out of 10. Lina, if she's there and you can't get in reach for the Faceless Void, I think she's your secondary target. After that, it's kind of a wash. Not the Wraith King, I think, is the only other evaluation that you need to make. Just either the Skywrath Mage or the Mirana. They should both die straight up in a Doom, so I think it doesn't really matter whichever one is the most threat. I think Skywrath Mage, honestly, because Mirana's going to want to start out with the arrow, and the Skywrath Mage poses more damage threat. So in priority, Faceless Void, Lina, Sky.
Yeah, it would make sense that way as well, indeed. I mean, maybe, just maybe, depending on the situation, getting the Doom onto Mirana, preventing the Moonlight Shadow, but... I mean, you have to come prepared anyway with Vision, to be honest, against Mirana. You can't rely on, okay, we're gonna get the Doom before he activates that spell. It just doesn't work that way, or at least it shouldn't.
Yeah. More often than not, you're going to be seeing the Mirana ultimate being used away when she's already out and the rest of the team is on the retreat. It's, yeah, going to be very sketchy if you're going to rely on that. Yeah. We're still kind of waiting for this Faceless Void to show his face. He does have his Chronosphere available, and they're kind of waiting for the Lina to get back online. This Lina, despite getting killed in lane, is CSing very well up against the Magnus, and if it weren't for that death, they'd be about even. This build that the Lina is going for is going to be the more standard build that you're going to see from Lina's, although I would have liked to see her prioritize the Fiery Soul a little bit more. Maybe go for Phase Boots on top of that for a little bit more lane dominance, but this one's going to combo better with the Faceless Void. You'll be able to set up a really easy Light Strike array after the Chronosphere, as well as getting the Dragon Slave on as many heroes as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the Dragon Slave is a pretty nice ability to just combo off with the Chronosphere. Has a rather long range as well, so goes from one end of the Chrono to the other, more or less. And of course, do you think this Lina is going for the Blink Dagger as well to just get the jump initiation or the surprise factor, or should she just build straight up carry roll with the heroes that they have?
I think this is not going to be a blink on your Lina. I think she's more or less going to be following up after the initiation comes out from either an arrow, or from a Wraith King, jumping in with the Wraith Fire Blast, or the Chronosphere. So I don't know, if she goes for damage, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it, but then again, you can't really argue with a blink. It's just an all-around solid item, even if it's not the most ideal. I don't think there's ever going to be a situation where you're like, darn, I wish I didn't have this Blink Dagger.
Yeah, I mean, definitely having mobility is always going to be nice, and just the ability to reposition yourself in a fight just extremely fast with that. But we finally have a go given by both teams, and the game does get unpaused, so 7 minutes into the game, 3-1 now. But our top lane, the Chrono comes out onto 10, and he's going to go down 100% here. A few more right clicks and Pado picks it up.
Yeah, putting that first Chronosphere to get used without the Lina, she wasn't even necessary, and she's just going to go back to mid. Magnus needs to exert a little bit of caution here, as she does have her Laguna Blade available, so a lot of nuke damage. If she catches out the Magnus with the Light Strike Array and then follows up with her 2 other spells. It could spell his doom if he's not playing defensively enough. With the current amount of HP that he has, he's completely fine, but it looks like up top we're going to have more engagement as the cask is going to bounce the Faceless Void. A couple more odd attacks is all they need, even though he backtracked one from the Viper. They're now looking for the Skywrath Mage. He's going to be slowed down as Wraith King dies down in bottom. Key. They're getting the poison attack, but he's too fast, or is he? I don't know. They're not going to dive the tower for that one. Didn't see what happened to the Wraith King back behind the tower, but it looks like Doom was used for that kill. And Doom, sitting around very low, he probably needs to back off, as a Leap Starfall would spell his end. But there is no Starfall mana. With the Leap extra movement speed, however, Miranda might just chase him down. No stick charges available. And, well, she needs 1, potentially 2 more, especially with the Scorched Earth. Now she needs to get the heck out of there, as the Doom has backup. The Wraith King has also joined the fray, but up top is where we're going to see more action, as a lot is just breaking out in these individual lanes. We have the Concussive Shot, and that's all that we see up top.
Yeah, I mean, this Scorched
Skewer
Earth
mid.
actually-
Ooh, Benser. He has the Lacuna Blade. He doesn't have enough mana to use all of his spells, and he's going to get the Wraithfire Blast onto top here. The Skewer, or the Shockwave, excuse me, is going to not land on the Lina. She's going to drop the Lacuna Blade. She cancels that one. I think that might have been Fog. Uphill Vision not being in the favor of HOG, and Fab5 have found the better exchange across the map.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment 5-2, of course, and this Wraith King is only level 3.5, 9 minutes into the game. I mean, that reincarnation is nowhere in sight, and even if he does get that level 1 reincarnation, a 260-second cooldown, it's an absurdly long cooldown, to be honest. And, I mean, unless they start just racking up some kills with the Wraith King being present, it might be a really sad support here.
Yeah, Wraith King, as a support, you want to see him rotate into the semi-carry role, but we're not going to be seeing that anytime soon. From HOGs, they're going to want to prioritize the Blink Dagger first and probably Power Treads, that he's nowhere near either of those items. They're trying to give him as much experience in mid while the Lina is off of the lane and currently bottling up back in base. She has a TP and they might look to make it go up on top. They have the Chronosphere available, and this could be go time, although she is just going to go back towards mid.
You mean, Skywrath Mage also just hits level 5 at the very least, but even then, usually when you see Wraith King, Skywrath Mage, you're like, holy crap, they're just going to rotate us to death. But this aggressive Trident actually just counteracted that. Paralyzing cast the Death Ward as well. He's going for the solo kill. Are you kidding me, Tip? What a play.
They cut out the vision with the creeps and Skywrath Mage was so dead. Oh my goodness. Like, as a support with very little HP, that was such a play indeed. Like, maxed out Cask was enough. It didn't even need another bounce. It was just the Death Ward doing so much damage. Just down in bottom. They're looking for the Doom. They'll find the Doom as they deploy the Laguna Blade, and just too much nuke damage coming out from these two.
Yeah, and the good thing about Lina and the difference between a Lina and a Lion, I guess, is that the cooldown on Laguna Blade is always rather low. I do believe Lion has like 160 seconds, 100 seconds, and then 40 seconds as you skill up the ultimate. Whereas Luna goes from 70, 60, and 50. So almost every minute you can just use that to burst somebody down. But look at the Magnus already. Has Arcane Boots, has a Regeneration Room bottled up as well, but 300 gold short of just getting himself the Blink Dagger now.
Yeah, he's gonna get LSA'd as well, but here comes the Cask coming out from Witch Dark. He doesn't have his ultimate, but they have the RP to spend. Now with the Shockwave as well as the Skewer, just going to rip him apart. As Tip actually gets the last hit, not sure how, but high base damage to Witch Doctor paying off there to get that kill, and a killing spree for Tip. We do have the Blink Dagger secured by Magnus, but he won't have his RP for another minute and 50 seconds or so.
What? Top lane then just Viper Struck Faceless Void. The Ice Blast actually flying as well. Although he does get out of it, thank God, but that was a really weird choice to just kind of randomly throw out the Viper Strike.
Yeah, I mean, with an Aghanim Scepter, you'd expect that, but that's going to be on cooldown for another minute, and they won't have that available. The Doom is rotating up here, and they might be able to get this kill on the Faceless Void. They need the Doom on him first, and while Doom, he has the Phase Boots, but no Blink or anything on that node as they go in. Time Walk Chronosphere straight onto the Viper, just solo kill onto him. The Witch Doctor is going to channel his ultimate onto the Lina. They will get the kill onto the Viper, but it looks like at the cost of their Faceless Void, Lina is going to be able to back off onto the ends of that fight without being caught out. Magnus Blink, Skewer, Shockwave down towards the low ground. It is going to land. They have an HF version of Ice Blast also flying through. Is it going to clip? No, it's not. And it will actually hit the Skywrath Mage. I don't think he's going to take down, although that's not going to be the happiest that your Skywrath Mage has ever been. He'll be forced all the way back to base as the tier 1 tower is going to go down up top.
Yeah, I mean, Pebbles 5, really well done, just counter ganking kind of. I guess it wasn't too much of a counter gank, it's just really nice execution of doing something in return. So 1-for-1, a tri-lane farmer versus a tri-lane farmer it was. Viper has been a little bit better off than the Faceless Void, but just keeping the Faceless Void down. House of Gamers, I mean, Lina probably won't be the hardest of carries. Actually, they get the stun onto Denden mid lane, the double damage onto Lina as well. Will it be enough? Dragon Slave, does he have the Laguna Blade? No, it's still on cooldown. The Viper Strike comes through, and now suddenly Paralyzing Cast, Ice Blast to fly as well. They're gonna get the double.
They are. Had Lina had more points into her Fiery Soul instead of into the Light Strike Array, I am inclined to believe that that would have been an easier kill. With the double damage rune, she couldn't utilize that. Her attack speed was too slow, especially with going for Arcane Boots. Usually, your mid Linas are going to opt more for Treads or for Phase. I don't know. It's an okay attempt, but 2 points of Corrosive Skin was enough to keep the Viper alive.
Yeah, I mean, just not having the Laguna Blade, and of course Brave King himself isn't doing too much, although I did see a little bit of the Vampiric Aura just coming into play. Lina getting some health back, but still no point into Fiery Soul. And I mean, Lina, she's just so squishy as a hero overall. I mean, 777 HP, being level 9. I guess it doesn't get too many stats, just the Magic Wand is more or less it for the strength.
Yep, I don't know. It's unfortunate for this lane. She hasn't really been very relevant. 1-3-1. She farmed well in lane, but that's about it. And now, after lane, she hasn't been farming and giving all that to the Magnus as they bump into the Doom into the jungle. Maybe. Let's see. The Faceless Void is there. It's going to be Doom straight up, but the Wraithfire Blast is going to come, and I think the Faceless Void could just back out here. So LSA and the Laguna Blade committed to make that kill happen. So Doom wasted, as well as a kill going the way of HOG.
Yeah, I mean, just really well done from them. And I understand Doombringer just dooming out the Faceless Void straight away like that. It could have been a potential solo killer, probably would have been as well without the rotations, but top lane Ice Blast is flying, although Akira wants to go for Viper, the Viper Strike comes out, the man fight. The Mirana might not go down, never mind top. He comes in to help with a Shockwave as well as TP being there. So a 1-for-1 top, but all in all, with the Doombringer going down, still House of Gamers having the upper hand.
Yeah. Magnus this game, he's delayed his points into Empower, which makes sense. Usually that's one of the bigger reasons why you pick Magnus, is when you have an Ember Spirit or something that's going to benefit heavily from that in your team. They have the Doombringer to use the cleave, but I think more than anything this is going to bolster the Viper's extra damage potential. But, I don't know, HOG, they've managed to find themselves a little bit of a foothold down in this bottom lane with the Chronosphere available, as well as the Scarlet Mage ultimate. If they catch anybody out, this should be a pretty easy kill, and Doom looks like he might be the one they collapse onto, as the Faceless Void is there, but his backup is a little bit lacking. Yes, the Chronosphere might have to just straight up commit this. Where's the Scarlet Mage ultimate? It's too far back. There you go. The range is quite long in that one with the LSA follow-up. Lina secures that one with the Dragon Slave. Age Apparition Blast is going to land on nothing, and HOG find themselves a kill richer, although in top lane, it is pushing out by the Magnus.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, can you actually get the tier 2? I doubt it. If one hero's gonna come in and the arrow just barely misses from Akira. Now Blink out as well. And for a second I thought maybe House of Gamers should or will go for the just tier 2 as well, or at least get some chip damage done on it. But they're rotating mid instead. Gimli might be an easy kill for them, although Denden is around protectively.
Oh, Wraithfire Blast onto Denden. They don't have the follow-up from the Lina. They kind of backed off. The LSA is going to land. She has the Laguna Blade. Not going to throw it out as the Magnus blinks forward. He's looking for something. He whiffs an RP. He doesn't cancel that in time. And now Top is going to take the Walk of Shame back as he's completely out of mana. Now he has one Shockwave, and that's it. Doom onto the Wraith King. That's not who you want to Doom. They're chasing him down. Will they even be able to get this go with the Chilling Touch? Maybe. But it looks like it's Tib who's going to give up the first death here. They're going to Viper Strike up to Key, and Key looks like he is going to be the one that actually falls. A lot of whiff spells, and spells that did very little coming out from Fab 5. And their team fighting potential, despite getting a 1 kill, is probably going to be a win for HG, especially if Tip falls, and now they're looking for the Chronosphere. It's still 45 seconds, and with the Mask of Madness, he's just not living. Now the Witch Doctor returns with the ultimate. It's going to be enough to bring down the Faceless Void, and now that's actually a team fight win, as they also pick up the Lina on the backlines. Magnus skewing her to death with the Shockwave.
I mean, they might lose Kawartz on the Doombringer, or I think they most likely will as well. Mirana is faster, has the leap buff as well at the moment, plus Trumps popped. But I mean, all in all, even if the Doom falls, it's going to be a 3-for-1 exchange. So Fables 5 heavily coming out on top there. And I guess we can look at the graphs as well as we're paused anyway. A 4k gold lead is there for Fables 5 XP, nearing 4,000 as well at the moment. So they are in the lead, but who do you think actually has the better late game here?
I would say that Fabulous 5 do if they're able to get the jump on the Faceless Void, but if the Faceless Void gets the jump on them, they have plenty of follow-up damage, and a 6-slotted Faceless Void could wipe out the supports in just a couple swings of his mace, and then probably take down the third hero as well. It's going to be all about initiations as this game goes later. We're still quite a far ways away from that, but that's pretty much the case now. If the Magnus got an RP on anybody that last engagement, it would have went completely differently, although they still get a decent trade at 1 for 3.
Yeah, indeed. So, at the moment, net worth-wise, Magnus actually 2,000 ahead of the next highest, which is Akira on the Mirana. A pretty sizable lead, to be honest, for that hero. I mean, some players, like Arise, for example, they do love that carry kind of Magnus, power treads. Wow, okay, pulled out power cores with feet. But yeah, going for the carry kind of Magnus. Battle Fury as well to follow up. Now there's the leap, a few more right clicks, and it was a 3-for-1, but will the Meteor one fall here as well?
It looks like it will, with the Voodoo Restoration sustaining them. There's very little the Wraith King solo can do to defend against that with the Mirana down in bottom. So yeah, it's going to be 3-for-1 as well as the tower, going the way of Fab 5. It's a decent trade. Now they have the Mechanism on their Viper as well. They have a lot of tools that they need in order to take these pushes, and with only 50 seconds on cooldown for that RP since it was spent at the earlier portions of that fight, they'll be ready to start pushing down these towers fairly easily. Although the Doom is not looking very good as far as farm is concerned, that will pick up once Devour starts kicking into full gear.
And Viper looks so sick under the influence of the Empower from the Magnus. It just will wear off now, but usually it's like, if you have hands or the hero has hands, you just get those energy bubbles around those or something, but Viper has those bubbles across the entire body then.
Yeah, one of the benefits of not having hands, I suppose. Look awesome while you have Empower. Let's see, down in bottom, Mirana is just going to back off with the drums and phase boot. She'll be just fine. Yeah, as far as Blink Daggers are concerned on both sides, we only have the one in this game so far, I think, on our Magnus. Although, presumably we're going to be looking at one for at least the Wraith King on the side of HOG eventually. Lina has not decided to spend her gold, and I think she'll be going for that Blink as well.
I mean, at the moment, it sure looks like it at the very least. And I just want to see maybe House of Chaos being a little bit more active. Just, I mean, Brave Fire Blast into Mystic Flare, it's such an easy kill on most heroes at the very least. Then might be able to survive it now, having the mech and the point booster to just tank up a little bit, power, traits and strength as well. And of course, Corrosive Skin being maxed out.
Yeah, I don't know. You talked earlier about Lina having the benefit over Lion of having a shorter cooldown ultimate. If you're not using your ultimate off of cooldown, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, so... yeah, I would like to see them try to get more kills with this. It's level 2, and now with the Blink Dagger, this is go time for the Lina. They're pushing onto this tier 1 tower top, whereas theirs is getting pushed down bottom. I think this is going to be a pretty clean trade for Fabulous 5 at the very least, and they'll be able to put a little bit of pressure on this tier 2, and might even be able to defend with TPs coming in pretty much everybody. They're looking to secure the denial, though they won't be able to get it. They skewer back the Skywrath Mage, and Skywrath Mage, he's off-stomped. There's a defensive Chronosphere to get himself out, but it's gonna screw over Ki. I don't know, that was a questionable Chrono.
It most certainly was. Man, poor Sky there, or Ki, poor Ki. Well, Sky ref, I guess it's correct enough, but Ice Blast flies mid lane. I don't think it will be enough to save the tower though. They do have the Blink RP top. Can he channel this just inner powers to get it on multiple heroes?
He's going to run into the Lina. He's skewering forward, not going to find a Blink, however. And the rest of HOG, I think they're going to back out just find the Lina. He's hunting for her, but not going to find anything. But oh my goodness, we have a 20-minute Aghanim Scepter on this Witch Doctor. This... Okay, item is...
He's 5, 0, and 7. I didn't even notice it before.
What a player tip. Arrow lands onto Gimli, and this could be our fight, but this is ridiculous timing for a support Witch Doctor, and in most games, Witch Doctor Ags is awesome, but if we can see like a 3-man RP with that Witch Doctor ultimate working on them, the dream is real to just completely wipe them. I don't know. Tib is the secret carry. I think he has more impact than this Lina does for sure.
I mean, he's level 11 as well, so it's even a level 2 death ward here at the moment. Wow, he's keeping up with their core levels. I mean, he has the same level as Tenden does, and they get the tier 2 as well. Without the Faceless Void having the Chronosphere, House of Gamers, they're just a little bit reluctant to fight, and there's a BKB finished on Magnus as well. Those levels of farm are just through the roof.
Yeah, it's all in the KDAs of their higher heroes. The Doom is really the one that's wearing them down as they get a stun onto Malum, or rather just the slow with the Viper Strike. It's not going to take him down. The Corrosive Skin might actually, though, as the Ancient Apparition Blast will secure his demise. On the backlines, we have a Laguna Bay being thrown. There's the solo RP onto the Lina. They're going to lose their Lina for sure. Batto, he's man-fighting up against the Viper, but with the ultimate, the Witch Doctor ultimate is ripping through the Faceless Void, and now Malum not looking too good as he's trying to TV out. I think he is dead, and he indeed is. 3 kills going their way, although it cost them a lot of big ultimates, definitely worth it.
Yeah, it most certainly was. And 18-8 now. Fabulous 5, they're just taking more and more of a lead. I mean, they're getting map control, they're finding kills, getting more XP with that. And Teep, I guess on the Witch Doctor, next item, BKB in the making, just to ensure that only the Chronosphere and those time lock patches can stop you from channeling the Death Ward.
Yeah, for sure. Think that's a solid choice. Maybe Blink so he can have better positioning so he doesn't get caught out by any of the things, but I don't know. Arrow as well as LSA are fairly long ranges of initiation. If the Wraith King also gets a Blink, which he won't, so I don't know. He's going to be going for a Drums. Not a huge fan of this choice. I think Blink Wraith King is just all around better. And, well, do they have a Drums on their team is the bigger question. They already do, so I really don't like this choice.
Yeah, it is a little bit off for sure. I mean, I guess he maybe wants to transition it to somewhat of a semi-carry, but even carry Wraith Kings go for the Blink Dagger just to get close to the target, get the immediate stun almost, and just start right-clicking away. And Moonlight Shadow is there, Lina blinks in forward as well.
He's going to show herself. Oh, the Dust Viper Strike towards the Lina. The Faceless Void is here, but he doesn't get the Chronosphere off with the BKB onto the Magnus. The Faceless Void is just running around trying to focus down any target that Time Walk Away is going to keep him safe at the very least, but they're going to look for a Skewer. Not going to find it. He's going to Skewer forward instead, and he gets one auto attack with the Shockwave. It's going to do a lot of damage. None of that backtrack is now key. He's going to die solo to the Witch Doctor ultimate. Not sure if that was entirely necessary, but Tib is going to make sure that he died, and he just died so quickly. Now the Tier 2 tower down in bottom is probably going to follow suit, as it's below 600 HP.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no saving this tower. Empower also just boosts up their damage as well. It's already level 4, thanks to top hitting level 15 now with the next wave or so. And look at Malum, he's in the enemy jungle farming at the moment, and without a Blink Dagger as well. And actually, speaking of Blink Daggers, Witch Doctor picks up one.
Yeah, I like this choice coming up from the Witch Doctor. It's okay to have it's really good to have a BKB, I should say, but it's going to take more time to get up, for one, and then two, they do have ways to cancel it if the Faceless Void uses Chrono. And I'm not sure if Witch Doctor really wants to wait for that before he gets it. If he's able to find himself a nice little nook, if they waste like a Chronosphere to cancel it, he'll probably be happy about it anyway, and he'll get some decent damage, even if it's just a couple of ticks. That thing hurts, and it's going to be bouncing around as well. I do like the blink on the Witch Doctor. BKB presumably is next item.
Yeah, I mean, I just watching at Malum Gang Train, Maglev Gang Train, Malum, and names too similar to me, but just farming up the enemy jungle, and he's cutting his way through the trees so that if Fabulous 5 were actually running past, they might not spot him. But top lane Bado, he's gonna be in trouble. Ice Blast will actually fly, but the Chronosphere up what the 2 in before. Mystic Flare to follow up as a Witch Doctor. He's gonna go down most likely. Indeed, 900 gold given away. Kawartsak gonna lose his life on top of that. Man, they just went a little bit too deep in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, I thought the one that was going too deep was Wraith King, but in the end it's going to be the entirety of the squad coming out from Fab 5 as they should be able to cancel his TP, and I'm not even sure if it was necessary as the damage was enough. And, well, now they might be looking for more as Magnus should be able to blink away in time. He has a BKB TP if things really hit the fan, but I think he's going to be able to get out, although they're going to pursue him, blink towards the low ground, and he'll be fine. Or is he? The arrow! Those low ground to high ground to low ground again arrows are always a bit sketchy, but Top will avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, Void will get hit by the Ice Blast, but he's definitely not gonna shatter here. And actually the Void almost got killed anyway. Top, he blinked in and then just skewered just past the Faceless Void, man. Literally, I think Faceless Void could felt the wind just going through his back or something when the Magnus went by him. But in any case, Fabulous 5, they got a little bit overeager there. They lost quite a lot, but they are still in the lead. Looking at the graphs as well, still a 10k gold lead almost. XP dropped down to about 6,000 or so, but what's the next step for Fabulous 5? Should they just group up and force the issue, or how do they should go about just extending their lead?
I think they can, to be honest, with Magnus RP as well as Doom, as long as they're in a proper engagement and it's not like one of these scrappy ones where two get caught out in the jungle and then one more chases after them. If they actually like group up and push down a lane, I don't think there's a lot that HOG can stop them as long as their spread is okay and they don't get caught out by the Chronosphere coming out from the Faceless Void. That's a little bit risky, but as long as they find a good RP, I think they can do pretty much whatever they want.
There's actually two-man smoke. Benzer together with Malem have smoked up, and Benzerman. I was wondering whether we'll be able to see the Aghanim Scepter Laguna Blade, which goes through BKB as well, and he's going for it.
Yeah, I like the side choice. It was already a good item on your Lenas before they changed it to universal damage, but after that, I don't think there's a convincing reason to not get that in your late game Lena build, especially if you're not going for the more DPS-oriented one, with maybe like a Chrysalis or something else. I don't know, Benzer as well as the Wraith King, they're looking for initiation, but with a Blink on the Lena, the initiation isn't as clean as you'd like it to be. Blink Wraithfire Blast is really guaranteed, and the LSA not as much. She's been on point, or rather Benzer's been on point. With those, and she'll look behind the corner. It's going to land on some creeps, and they'll just farm up with the smoke. They didn't find anybody in time.
Well, they might, yeah, they're pinging out as well. Or actually, it was the Viper pinging it. I think so. Just defend the tower, guys. Don't give away map control. And they definitely should have the better team fight here at the moment. But it still just depends heavily on how Top can land his ultimate here.
No, I'm going to blink forward. The Hoofstomp's going to be interrupted by the Wraithfire Blast, but the Skewer is not going to be, so it's going to bring Malum back into the rest of the enemy team with the Maledict on him. I think he's going to at least lose his ultimate. Where's the detection coming out from them?
Non-existent. Nowhere.
Does anybody have any? There's one sentry in this game on the side of HOG. That's a big misplay, I feel. Like, up against a Mirana, it's so important to have it so things like that don't happen. They should have at least gotten the ultimate and probably killed him a second time. And at a level 1 ultimate only on Malum, that would have actually been a pretty big pickoff.
Yeah, it's been 260 seconds. Anytime you can get a kill like that is so good, especially considering he is extremely close to his level 11, to that level 2 reincarnation. Would have just... But... Would have, could have, should have. Didn't happen. I really just expect or would like to see HM actually picked up on Fables 5. Completely take any map vision away from House of Gamers. That way, if they go for a smoke, for example, or just they gank themselves, they could guarantee that the Faceless Void actually doesn't have vision of them and they don't all of a sudden get caught in a chrono. But Gimli, yes, he has his Aghanim Scepter finished on the Ancient Apparition with a level 2 ultimate.
Yeah, this is going to make the combo coming up from Fab 5 so much scarier. Although we haven't seen a really good RP from Top just yet. He's completely missed one. The rest of them have mostly been single or double target. If he can catch out more than 2, or at least 2, and they have the Witch Doctor and H Apparition ults on top, that could be ridiculous. But they're being split pushed currently, as top tier 2 and bottom tier 2 are taking a lot of damage, but they don't care, as the tier 3 tower is going to fall in their favor. They have a glyph, but they've already spent theirs, so if they don't get this tier 3 tower, it's going to be disastrous, as they've just spent 2 tier 2s for it. The defense isn't coming back from HOG fast enough, and the Faceless Void really needs to be here in order to defend against it. They're getting some chip onto the range barracks, and, well, they're spread out enough to where, oh, the arrow onto top. They're not going to have the RP just yet, but Bato, he's jumping and he's looking for the Chronosphere. He finds it solo, but he also catches out Malum. There is a Laguna Blade. They're going to be able to get top before he gets off his spell, or will they? The Witch Doctor ultimate's completely zoning him out. The Viper, they're going to jump in. With the Doom, he's going to get a double War Stomp. He has not used, or has used his Doom. There's your RP onto the double for Tib, and, well, they make it a double kill for Small 5, or rather, Kavorka as well. It's going to be a full 5-man wipe as they buy back, and they're still going to lose their range back. It's a very awkward engagement, and they might be able to catch out more as they jump in with Mal and the Scar's Mage ultimate. It's going to be split between 2 heroes, but Gimli is not very tanky, especially with that Ancient Seal, and now the Doom also trying to run away. He's going to try it with the Scorched Earth. I don't think it's going to be enough. The Arcane Bolt is going to be duped for a little bit longer, but not disjointed. They're going to bash him with the Faceless Void, and that's going to be your double kill. It's probably not worth it, though, for the buybacks that they got solely from that. They need Roshan on this and probably some more. Although the end trade is going to be 4 for 5 plus 3 buybacks, 2 tier 2 towers for a tier 3.
It was actually 4 buybacks. Lina was the only one not to buy back, and I think even that purely just because she lacked the money for it. But, I mean, Roche will help just ease the wounds a little bit. But definitely just Fabulous 5 taking an extremely good fight. Range tracks as well, not as important as the melee ones, but still enough to make it so that House of Gamers, they will always have to just give some momentum on the lane themselves. So Fabulous 5, they're free now to, for example, push the top lane, get the tier 2 there, or just push out bottom lane with, as the next one. And looking at the graphs again, actually the gold graph has dropped down considerably, down to 6,000 XP. What? It's only a 2,000 lead for Fabulous 5 now as well.
Yeah, interesting. I was expecting something a little bit more, but I don't know, those last couple of deaths, they must have been sitting on quite a bit of gold, and it looks like they were, with Magnus going to just pretty much one-shot by and completed Shiva's guard, so I imagine he lost quite a bit of gold with those last couple of deaths, as did the other heroes. They didn't really fully commit to their items, and I don't know, could be something to that. The Lina is going to pick up her Aghanim Scepter. I'm not the biggest fan of her actually picking up the Aegis. I don't know, she'll have a really scary ultimate, but once she drops her kit, it's not going to be that scary. I would have liked to see the Faceless Void pick up that Aegis, and honestly, I think the Skywrath Mage does more sustained damage through the fights anyway. Even though, I think Void is probably your best candidate.
Yeah, and Void is actually, he has 3k gold, but Ice Blast flying top lane, he's 17-second duration one as well. He's probably gonna survive this, but he can't farm anymore, he has to just go back home.
Yeah. Even if every tick landed on him, I'm not sure if that would have ticked him down, but it's going to be uncomfortable sitting in the base for that duration, and that was just an Ice Blast. If you had anything on top of that, it would have been an easy kill. So they dropped the Chilling Touch and are looking to gank up this Lina. She has the Aegis, so even if they kill her, it's not the biggest deal, but with the Shivas and the Skewer back, this should be pretty easy when it spends her back into the arms of Gimli. He's going to get the LSA onto the Magus. No, it's actually going to be juked, and after this, they should back off as they're going in mid, potentially. The Mirana ultimate has been used to try to get this Lina out alive, and actually she's going to die a second time. The damage is too much, and forced out a BKB by the Magnus, but definitely worth it as they're able to get the kill without using RP.
Yeah, in mid lane they might get Malum as well. Malediction was used, a few more right clicks, Core Turf as well. I think he's gonna burn down. He pops the Reincarnation, but most likely will go down the next time as well. Actually, he's even gonna Doomed up. Can he choke it out though? So far he has succeeded, but no, level death comes out. There's the death ward as well. Faceless Void has to escape immediately as he came in. But Grandis, man, I think I'm gonna have to leave you now since Falcon Bears versus Tusa is calling.
Yep, okay, well, have fun with that last cast. Thanks for casting with me. It's always a pleasure to have you. But, as he said, we don't have a co-caster for the second game of this series. But for now, we'll be rounding out Fabulous 5 versus HOG. They're going to go into the first lane of barracks and commit to the melee barracks. They have their RP, although they spent a lot of their other big teamfight ultimates. Already Doom and Witch Doctor have been committing theirs in order to get those kills. Because of the buybacks that they spent so liberally in the last defense of the high ground, they won't have them this time, and their buyback timers are too long in order to make a defense. Mirana kind of half-heartedly pushes down bottom, gets some chip onto the tier 3 tower, but that's about all that she's able to do. Yeah, it's not looking good for HOG by any means, although they still have a Chronosphere, which is going to delay Fab 5 from going high ground as easily, as well as still having one tier 2 tower still standing up in the top lane. They won't be able to get mega creeps. But slowly but surely, it looks like Fab 5 are going to be able to take this, although it's only a couple of team fights away from HOG being able to bring themselves back into the lead. The advantage is not, can't say insignificant, but it is not unsurmountable. At about 5,000, a little bit higher than that in the gold, and experience completely leveled out, HOG still have the chance of fighting this, although their farm distribution isn't as favorable, and the items that they're picking up aren't as impactful as the ones that top 5 are getting. Magnus, his next item presumably will be a refresher, and once you have double RP, that's extremely scary, and I don't know, these Aghanim Scepters on both of their supports mean a lot more than anything that the Skywrath Mage as well as the Mirana and Wraith King are picking up. Mirana's right-clicking decently well, but she has a Manta-style drums as well as a Maelstrom. She's not going to be a severe right-clicking threat, although the extra damage is going to be beneficial. It's not going to compare to like a Desolator or Daedalus on your Mirana, and the single targets aren't going to care. It'll be good for wave clear as well as split push, but that's about it, as Top is actually playing very aggressively on the high ground. Not sure if I like this position coming out from him, but if anybody shows their face, they're going to be jabbed by the RP. He has a BKB as well, and I don't know, the items coming out from HOG just aren't cutting the cake here. As the Atos comes up from the Skywrath Mage, it'll be nice, as will the Aghanim Scepter, but it's nothing hard-hitting or that's going to keep him alive. They're going to use a Viper Strike onto a Mirana Illusion, but that is an Aghanim Scepter ultimate coming out from the Viper, so he doesn't care as the Doom actually goes in the Faceless Void. And I think they've just completely zoned out the enemy team, but they're going to lose their Doom potentially. The arrow is going to be off the mark. The LSA, the Laguna Blade, is going to come through the BKB of the Doom. They slow down the Lina, excuse me. Lina is going to die, and they're looking for an RP. Will they be able to find on 2? No, it's only on to 1. They will be able to secure him back, but the Chronosphere goes on to 2. The Witch Doctor is going to completely zone out the Faceless Void with the Mask of Madness. He's falling, but they will lose both of the heroes inside the Chronosphere. The Bash goes on to Tib. The Gem of True Sight's on the ground. Nobody's picked it up just yet. The Sun goes on the top from the LSA, I believe. Now the Maelstrom doing some serious work towards all of these heroes. 3 for 3 the exchange now, and they'll be able to get the Magnus on top of it. Fab 5 are losing more than they bargained for as the Doom trying to TP out. He will make it out alive. They didn't have to take that engagement. They dove really deep trying to get the kills with their RP, but one-man RPs are not going to do it for Fab 5, and they're giving HOG a lot more room than they really should be. I don't know. It's not as comfortable as you'd like to see. At 35 minutes into the game, it is a significant advantage to have that one lane of racks up, but there still is hope for the comeback coming out from HOG, especially now that Mirana is going to get a lot stronger with her right-clicking as the Mjolnir's picked up, and now anything from here on out is either going to keep her alive so she's constantly going to be able to do that damage, or it's going to give her a lot more damage, and at even, as far as net worth is concerned with the Magnus, she'll scale about as well as he does. Nobody in this game really is going to be hitting particularly hard, and actually the Mirana is going to be at the top of those with their newly acquired Mjolnir. The static charge also going to be very useful. If you could put that on the Wraith King before he jumps in with his reincarnate, that's going to be very nice. He doesn't have a blink dagger, so it's not going to be the best, but maybe the Faceless Void is going to eat a lot of that Witch Doctor damage in those ticks.
Illusion.
Could be a solid choice for the static charge as well. It's going to tone down as we're still waiting on the cooldowns, although they are going to come up shortly. Not sure if Fab 5 want to go full on to the high ground. Malum's still pushing as best he can. Without a blink dagger, it's a lot harder to do so. But he will be able to farm. And, well, the counter push comes out. Fab 5, they're waiting for their refresher on their Magnus, and as far as their other big item pickups, let's see what else are we building into. BKB for the Witch Doctor is going to be another huge one, as well as an Assault Cuirass, presumably, for our Doom. He'll need some extra armor of his own, and the minus armor is going to be very useful, especially with the physical damage coming up from the Witch Doctor's Death Ward. That Death Ward, if you're able to channel it, even for a little bit, it's going to be ridiculous. And if he waits for after Chronosphere, he'll have pretty much nothing in order to cancel that, unless the Faceless Void is getting auto attacks off onto him. But with the BKB, Tib probably doesn't care, and he could really be the biggest turning fight. As if you look at the KDAs of everybody, he's at the top of the chart. Least deaths in the game, most kills, most assists. Tib is a happy man. He is tied for most assists with the Viper, I should say, but still, it's a Witch Doctor that you should be scared of. And with level 3, as well as the Aghanim Scepter, this Death Ward is actually the most damaging part of their team fight. Faceless Void, pretty tanky up in the top lane. Might be wrapped around here as he just time walks and TPs out. He'll be just fine. Yeah, Screw from the Magnus just going to be to clear out this creep wave, as is the Empower that is currently being liberally spent on the Doom as well as the Viper. Going to give them a nice bolster into their extra damage. The 50% damage is really sweet, although the cleave doesn't affect ranged units. They might actually be committing for this. Once their ultimates are back online, they definitely can. I think it's still a lot resting on this Magnus. Usually when we think of Magnus, we think almost immediately of S4 as well as players like Arise, but if you don't have a good Magnus player, this hero is really hard to pull off, and maybe something along the lines of a Puck would have been better suited to their playstyle, or maybe something we're more comfortable with running. But yeah, Top's RPs have been lackluster throughout this game, mostly on single targets, and he's had a couple that have completely missed. As down in bottom, they're going to be forced to TP back in. The Faceless Void and company are pushing in. H Apparition ultimate, there's a nice RP onto 2. He's going to be able to skewer both of them back under the tower, and with the Witch Doctor ultimate, it ticks for like 2 ticks of damage, and that was enough to kill them. Witch Doctor gets one of the kills as Magnus gets the other. And well, that one was good, as the arrow is going to land onto Kavorka as they get the static charge onto the creep. It's going to do a little bit, but barely anything, as the Doom is going to be able to smack that one up with the axe of his. RP down is going to hurt their team fight for a little bit, although we almost have the completed refresher coming out for our Magnus as well as the Assault Cuirass for the Doom. So despite losing that last team fight, I would say they're still going to look very good in the next one. As long as they're able to find good initiations from that Magnus. You need at least 2, probably more, in the fight, but if you're able to get the 2 into the Witch Doctor ultimate as well as AA Blast, that 2 is going to die, and then you're starting off 3v5, and even though you've used your ultimate, it's still going to be worth it. And he'll have the refresher as well, so maybe you can even go for a secondary one. As Wraith King man fighting up against Viper, I don't think this is a man fight you can actually win, at least without using your second life. Arrow to fly, not going to land on the Viper. The doomed up Mirana is being chased down by Kavorka, and now Viper going to right-click down her. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, Wraith King's going to lose his ultimate to the Roshan, as inside the base, they're also winning that fight. The RP isn't available, but they still have the Witch Doctor, and now TP attempt coming out from Malum. He'll be able to make it out alive. BKB picked up by the Wraith King. He'll be a lot better off, as now the buyback from the Rana, they want to make something happen. There's no time lock from the Faceless Void. Arrow jump in from the Doom. They're going to drop the Shockwave, but Faceless Void, he's looking for the Chrono. He goes solo onto Tib. This is not the worst target if you're going to get a solo Chronosphere, and it will be able to bring him down very effectively, but now Magnus almost has his secondary RP ready. And, well, where's the fight going to break out as Malum's chasing down this Magnus? He does not have a care in the world with the BKB. He's going to go on the backlines, faces Void Man fighting up against Doom with the BKB wearing off. He definitely can win that man fight, but the Viper Strike going the way of Batto. He's going to backtrack a couple of those ticks and just TP back out to base. Shockwave is going to land. LSA not going to land on anything. Is an RP going to come out onto 2. The Skewer is not going to follow that up, however, as they don't have any detection. Where's the darn detection coming out from Fab5? That's 2 times that you've been caught out by that. I thought after the first that you definitely get some. Shiva's Guard comes out from the Magnus. He might be able to get to Zelina. She's going to drop very low, but they still don't have any way to kill these darn Invis units, as they'll be able to pick up the Viper after the Rayfire Blast, as well as the follow-up coming out for the Mirana, and now Magnus going to be on his retreat. He has his Refresher Orb flying out to him, but honestly, I think a Dust would have been a better item that last fight than a completed Refresher. How do you fight up against Invis units? I don't know. Arrow to fly into the Roshan pit with the Wraithfire, or rather the Wraithfire Blast and the Vampiric Aura. They'll be able to take this very quickly, especially when you have Batto bashing away at him with that Mask of Madness. So Roshan is going to fall the way of HOG, and this lead coming out from Fab5, although it's a significant one in the gold department, XP is completely leveled out, and if they're not able to line up those teamfight ultimates, it's going to be pretty hard for them to engage, although they do have a very vast lead in the items. With the Assault Cuirass Refresher, as well as a 3rd Aghanim Scepter on their Viper, who's now thinking about a BKB and completes his BKB. I would not think that HOG are going to be able to hold on for much longer, although they've surprised me up until then. They've spent their last buyback. Well, actually, Lena has hers. She hasn't been forced to use it for quite some time, and oh, that's pretty solid. BKB completed by the Viper is, I don't know, while the lull in action ensues, I'll go ahead and put the graphs up a little bit more. The gold advantage is going to tip down after that last teamfight win. Let's see. Yeah, going to dip down to presumably about a 6,000 advantage towards Fab5, and the experience is actually going to be in the favor of HOG. If we take a look at the hero levels, it's Mirana that's really the winner as far as this is concerned, but honestly the levels don't matter at 42 minutes into the game, with everybody, with the exception of the Ancient Apparition and the Skywrath Mage, having their level 16 ultimate. And both of them are going to have it pretty quickly. Ancient Apparition, less than 500 XP in the Skywrath Mage, although a little further away. One more team fight is all that's going to really need to happen before he has that available, and honestly, it's not that bad to not have it. The extra mana cost is costly, but the Faceless Void Chronosphere definitely makes it worthwhile upgrading the Chronosphere solo onto top, and top will be brought down Laguna Blade and everything, plus the Kitchen Sink throw towards him. The Death Ward, he's not getting the Bash's tip! He's going to get cancelled by the Light Strike Array, and the Faceless Void will survive. He lets it loose, and it just doesn't do it for him. I don't know. That was a lot longer than I thought that Death Ward would be channeled. He cost himself the 10-second BKB, which is unfortunate, but by the time he has it back, or is back alive, he will have his BKB cooldown, which is absolutely fine for the Witch Doctor. I think, let's see, channeling on the ultimate, I forget how long the channel actually is. It is 8 seconds of that ultimate, so he still has the full duration of that with the BKB. After another usage, it won't be that case, and he'll probably have to sacrifice a little bit later on, but honestly, if you only have 4 seconds of that thing running, it's more than enough, as that just does so much damage when they're clumped. And with the Magnus, that's the best way to clump up those heroes. RP OP as they jump in onto the Mirana Doomer straight up, but she's running still pretty fast, won't be able to get the phase boots off, and with the level death going on the level 24 Mirana, it's actually not going to do the bonus damage, but they will pop the Aegis. Courier is inbound as well, not sure what that was holding. It is the Void Stone for the Lena's presumed Eul Scepter, but good pickoffs coming out from the map from both sides. It's all a matter of how these team fights go down. If the Chronosphere hits a lot of units, HOG all the way, they should be able to take down these targets. Despite the Faceless Void not having the most damage, it's enough when you have the backup from the Lena as well as the Skywrath. And same for Fab5. Magnus, his RPs are key, and well, in that sense, I'll favor Fab5 just a little bit because he has the double RPs, so either 2 times to lock down everybody, or an extra mulligan if he does screw up the first time. Yep, that is going to be just some TP scrolls going the way of Lena after she gets that Eul Scepter delivered. She light strikes away the creep camp, which, under most circumstances, against columns does absolutely nothing, but the extra attack speed is going to be not useless. Not sure if that was just Force Faba, if she didn't look, or she generally wanted that extra attack speed. Yeah, the gold advantage is actually almost zeroing out over this last couple of engagements, and I don't know, Fabulous 5, I think their team fight potential is better, and with the lane of barracks up, they're favored, but it's still anybody's game. They're pushing down mid, then transitioning up towards top. Nobody from the side of HOG is actually inbound, and they might be able to get this without much contention. I don't know, Lina TP's in, but they need the Faceless Void here to do much of anything. TP in, Faceless Void, no, that's a Wraith King on the backline to get an LSA, no, it's a BKB dodged by the Doom, she'll drop the Laguna Blade, which does about a third damage, she gets a nice Chronosphere on the backline, so multiple units, but it's not going to be enough, it's a Wish Doctor channeling his ultimate with the BKB, they can't do anything, Doom on the Faceless Void, that's going to be 2 kills as well as the Wraith King coming back, and he's going to be RP'd solo with a Refresher, he can afford to do this, and Malmalm is also going to die, SLHZ forced to leap away after the Viper Strike, now Bado, he wants to get into there with all of the damage that he has, will he be able to bring back anybody? I don't think so, the Atos of the Viper, not the target you can go for, with the maxed out corrosive skin. Faceless Void, not the best at dealing with that. For now, high ground defended, but at the cost of many a buyback coming out from HOG. It's only a matter of time. This is going to be a big fight. Magnus is not going to pop the refresher, which is fine. If you need the ultimate in the next 70 seconds, you just pop the refresher. But they will have a lower cooldown on the double ulti by doing this. Scarlet Mage ultimate going to do a lot of hurt towards the Viper, but they don't have the follow-up with the Ancient Seal as well as the Lina Laguna Blade. Just gonna blow to death the Viper. They lose a gem because of that as well. Now they jump with the Faceless Void. Does not have Chronosphere. There's a refresh coming up from the Magnus. He does not drop the RP, however, and now the Faceless Void, he gets Chronosphere onto 2, and now top, they're trying to focus him down. Do they have the damage to do so? I think they do, especially with the follow-up arrow and the LSA with the Light Strike Array and Dragon Slave. They sure do. And Fab 5. The buybacks are working for HOG. They lose a lot of damage on their tier 4 towers, but it doesn't matter. They still trade evenly and defend their lane of barracks up top. Melee barracks, most importantly. The ranged barracks did fall, and that's a similar story to what happened in mid. But we're in for the long haul here, as these fights, although they're going towards HOG, it's at the cost of a lot of buybacks, as well as lanes that aren't being pushed out. They still have a tier 2 tower still left on the board, and at the way this is going, they won't be able to meet it for quite some time. The Lina as well as the Mirana are going to change that fact as they push out mid. Doom going for almost the full straight up carry build is after the Sulky S as well as Blink BKB. He goes for the Skull Basher, and this item choice is decent for him. Deny comes out in the mid tier 2 tower, more economic damage in the way of HOG, but honestly, it doesn't matter. That tier 2 tower is negligible. Either if they got the last hit or not, it doesn't matter. All that matters is if Fed 5 wanted to defend that, and since it was so low, the answer is no, and that's going to be all she wrote. Mirana. Her next item, Butterfly, completed. Sending it to herself on the courier, does not have buyback. But, yeah, she doesn't. And even though she didn't spend it, is going to be relying a lot on her damage these next couple of engagements. Avoiding the Viper strikes as well as the Doom's auto attacks is going to be very important. If she can Manta dodge the Viper strike and the auto attacks coming out from the evasion, in general, is going to be very good for her doing the damage. And right now, it's Mirana is the main right clicker this game. Once people are low, the Viper definitely can hold his own as an arrow is shot towards the Viper, but they need the Magnus to get his RPs. I've been harping about it all game, but they just haven't done it. Top, I think there was one RP that I actually liked, and even that was only on 2 heroes. The Chronospheres have just been more. They've been able to get more, and well, there's a solo RP onto the single target. They'll have to unleash the Witch Doctor Ward that's actually missing now with the Manta style. She's going to survive for a lot longer. The Ancient Apparition Blast, however, is going to say no to that Mirana. Too much damage going her way. And, well, a lot of cooldowns being spent. Still getting a pick off on a hero without buyback is huge. 90 seconds without the Mirana is going to give them time for the Witch Doctor ultimate to come off cooldown, as well as to have an RP. So Fab 5, let's see if they're going to be able to capitalize off of this and maybe push down the top lane. They aren't grouped up, and they're forced to remain in mid as well as bottom, as they have 2 heroes pushing those out in mid, and down in bottom we have the Wraith King solo pushing. LSA as well as Dragon Slave is not straight up killing the creep wave as it did quite some minutes ago with the Mega Creeps in mid. But Fab 5 are looking for the opening that they've just found. Witch Doctor blinking forward aggressively, just going to cask up these creeps and try to do as much damage as possible. Get these creeps down ASAP. With 4 range creeps as well as double catapults, this is looking to be a scary push, but are HOG even going to defend against this? They have TPs on their Faceless Void and their Lina that they're going to need to spend sooner rather than later, but they're going to go for the base trade potentially. inside the base. Backdoor protection is not available, and they'll go for the chip onto the range barracks. This is the right choice. They force out the glyph, and that's going to be a win, as the glyph is not available on the melee barracks up top. That is going to fall to the empowered up Magnus. Magnus just shredding this one to bits, and with the BKB, he does not care about that Mystic Flare. Lena's going to die back inside the base, and now the Viper, they're looking for the kill onto the Faceless Void, and channeling of the ultimate coming out from Tib will be cancelled, but he's still taking a lot of damage from the Maledict. They won't be able to commit to him, but their base has already died, and a huge win for Fab 5. I think they might have done that, but Ancient Apparition Blast, Faceless Void. Nah, he's fine. That's going towards the base. And Ki might not be so fine, actually. Even with 1800 HP, that might take him down. He's fine. He's fine. It's fine. Let's see. That's a max out Aghanim Scepter ultimate coming out from the Ancient Apparition. Place your bets. It's not going to land, as he needed probably another 3 ticks of that damage in order to get the kill. So a booster on his way towards that Bloodstone will be a big item for the Scarth Mage if he can get his hands onto it, and will open ways towards that Aghanim Scepter, but honestly, it's not going to have the biggest impact. I think something altogether would have been maybe a little bit better. Ghost Scepter up against the Witch Doctor, I can definitely see working out, although the magic damage is not slouching on Fab 5 by any means. Wraith King back up to his shenanigans inside the enemy woods, farming that up since the enemy is not doing so, and he won't get caught out because of this, and just feeling with the Blink as well as Reincarnation and BKB, he'll be more than fine. He'll be right, of course. Scarlet Mage. Bloodstone picked up, finally. And it's all a matter of time for the next fight. If HOG win it, they can definitely have a fighting chance in this game. They're pushing out decently well up against these 2 lanes. If they get a third, however, and this is a great way to start out with the Magnus RP, second RP, man, oh my goodness, that's so much damage. The Witch Doctor is not able to get that as they don't have detection. The gem's on the ground, and now the turnaround Chronosphere. Gem not picked up by the Faceless Void, need to drop his TP, but he'll be able to time walk away. The arrow to fly, not going to land on anything. And what is up with them and not having detection? I'm actually livid. That was a beautiful combination. They dropped everything. The Faceless Void still survives, but Chronosphere capped out, and I think they can just take this tier 3 tower and bottom racks with or without a Magnus RPs. They have the Blink Doom as well as a Doom that's hitting like a truck with the Empower as well as the Basher. 300 per swing as well as the cleave damage in that AoE is pretty solid, but Blink Forward by Malum. He's going to go straight on to Tib. Tib does not have his ultimate, but he's not going to be able to do much damage onto Malum. He's going to drop it. Oh, the Laguna Blade from long range is going to kill them. They doom up the Lena, excuse me, after she uses his ultimate, but the Bashers are keeping Cavorce in place, but they'll be able to turn on the Faceless Void. Doesn't backtrack enough of that damage. The Doom is going to be pursued by the Miranda. They'll be able to get that kill. Now Gimli dropped to death by the Scarlet Mage ultimate. Another arrow to fly, not going to land on anything as the Blink Forward from top is going to get him out to safety. Lot of spells expend, and Fab 5 are still going to be okay with that, but they're going to lose Urshan, and this is what HOG need to take a big engagement. They need something on their Faceless Void. They need him to survive. They need an Aegis, I think is the magic word. And, well, Malum pretty much just going to be soloing this up for now. The extra stuns as well as the damage coming out from Lena is going to be pretty solid, and lifesteal on her is not going amiss. SLHZ might be the one to take up this Aegis, and if she gets, or he gets, another item under his or her belt, we will see a very hard right-clicking Mirana, and, well, she will be the Aegis carrier. We have the cheese. Oh, no jump in just yet. The Magnus potentially could have gone for it. Who's going to pick that up? I think it is the Courier that has that juicy cheese. And it is going to be the Courier that has the juicy cheese. Magnus was up on the high ground, got some vision with the Shiva's Guard, and then backed out. We're going to have double RP for the next fight, so despite having Aegis as well as Cheese on their side, HOG are not out of the blue just yet. If they carry detection and they land their combo, they will be looking really good, but as much as we talked about in the draft and the Mirana ultimate not being a reliable escape, because of detection, they just haven't been bothered to pick it up. Both sides now have a gem, as Witch Doctor picks himself up one, so good on you. Not going to have that happen again to Tib. And they might be crouching in wait for Malum. He's very tanky, however, with the armlet as well as the BKB. They're going to throw a skewer to push out the creep wave a little bit. That is the sum of the damage coming out from mid lane just now from Fab 5. Fab 5 don't want to push into the Aegis, and HOG don't want to push into the double RP. So it's just kind of a stalemate for the next couple of minutes. Gem on the deck. Who's going to pick that one up? It is going to be nobody, as they're not interested in the D-warding for now. Just going to make sure that they keep the one that they have on Ki alive. No need to lose the secondary one. They'll take up any farm that's inside their base, but with the 2 lanes pushed out, it's very risky to go for pushes without having Fab 5 commit into the fight for you. Still solo casting this, and let me go ahead and check out the messages and make sure that everything is going on correctly. And, well, we are going to go into a bit of a stalemate, continuing as Tib. He does have his BKB as well as Blink ultimate. We are still waiting for anybody to make an aggressive move. Lina is quite far out here. She has a Blink as well as a TP. She'll be able to clean up this creep wave decently well, but this is a very risky move coming out from Benzer. Benzer just needs to back out of there, I think. He has backup in the form of static charge melee creep, but that's it. The Faceless Void and Mirana are way too far back in order to actually do much of anything. She picks herself up a Haze Drone, and Lina is still doing fine. She could pick herself up her next item towards her Shiva's guard, but probably not going to do so. And this team from HOG, they farm so aggressively. I mean, Lina is over by the tier 2 tower areas. Well, this has been a long game. You definitely know it whenever the Radiant Magnus has to go use a potty break. So as we wait for top to get back into the game, we're going to have an extended pause that I have nothing to fill. Unfortunate the coucher left me. Well, we'll do this time to take a check at those items that are coming out. BKBs galore, 5 in total in this game, mostly on the side of Fab 5, as a lot of damage coming out from HOG is negated from BKBs, most notably the batches coming out from Faceless Void as well as the Skywrath Mage, and the Lina's nukes, with the exception of Laguna Blade that does go through Black King Bar. Mirana's the main right-click damage dealer, although without anything along the lines of a Daedalus, although I'd expect that to be her 6th and final slot. Her physical damage is not as great as you'd like it to be. She hits very hard, but a lot of the damage is going to be coming out from Starstorm and Arrow, as well as that Mjolnir still. So still a lot of damage as well. Top, it was just a quick one, as Ready is going to come out, and hopefully the break coming out from HOG is going to subside, and we are going to stop looking at those items, as hopefully we'll have some sort of action, as Mirana as well as Lina are pushing out aggressively. Fab 5 are hanging around the courier. It is just going to be that heart delivered to the Viper. No smoke just yet, and well, they might collapse on this. Mirana, Blink in RP, solo RP. They're looking for the pullback. They don't even need it, as the Witch Doctor ultimate is going to be there, and just pulls her closer to that death ward. And SLHC going to lose his first life. They might have to refresh an RP, but not a chance, as they have plenty of lockdown to keep her in place. She leaps up to the high ground. Blink forward by Magnus, going to be a complete failfish, as now he's going to refresh and blink, and oh, what a whiff coming out from our Mag, as he does not have another blink. He refreshed to get out of the trees there. A very costly blink, especially if they don't catch out SLHZ. They have an arrow going to connect onto nobody. Now the blink RP comes out from top, and they'll be able to pour back the level death, doing the most damage it can. That thing actually stings so hard in the late game. The top lane's pushing out very heavily with so many range creeps. Will they be able to clean that up? They get a Viper Strike the way of Malum, and from the high ground, the Viper's going to clean up that ultimate. And now Wraith King just in a very sticky situation. The Maledict is going to come, but do no damage onto him. He's fairly tanky. Will they be able to chase him down with the Scorch Earth? They might be able to. Level Death is not going to have the multiplier. He's level 21. Actually, will have the multiplier, excuse me. His times 3 is it will be level 21. Blink forward, Abyssal Blade coming out from Kavorka. And now the Viper Strike, it's going to slow him through the BKB, despite the damage dealer going to be the Doom. He's going to Wraithfire Blast him up, but that's only going to delay the inevitable. Faceless Void pushing out bottom, but HOG are giving up a lot of these kills, and at this point in the game, you just can't afford to do so, especially the Wraith King, who has no buyback. Everybody else in the game, on the side of the Radiant, with the exception of the Viper, who just picked up his heart, does have it available. And, well, Skywrath Mage does not, although that's not the biggest deal. Especially with the Bloodstone, he'll come back pretty quickly. And he also has the Cheese available, so a lot of ultimates going to be available to the Skywrath Mage throughout these team fights, as it's probably going to extend, unless we see the miracle reverse polarity coming up from the Magnus, it's probably going to extend more than 20 seconds. Yeah, it's just a 1-2 punch coming up from both of these teams as we're nearing the hour, and yet again, this is something that I haven't seen a lot before this week, but a lot of these CIS teams, they just fight so fast and frequently that they manage to find themselves at a balanced out graph at 60 minutes in. That's absurd. As well, the fatigue is starting to get to me, as this has been a pretty much straight day of casting since 5 a.m. in the morning for me, now nearing about that time in the afternoon, so yeah. If silly things start coming out from my mouth, you'll know why. The push down in bottom lane is going to come out from Doom as well as Tib, but it's just a wait until the next team fight comes out. Wraith King will be back up, and all of the ultimates are going to be available for the next clash, and I don't think either team really wants to take it. Fat 5 are fine, just keeping up the pressure with these mega creeps, as well as the heroes committed down towards bottom, and they're still waiting out that Aegis that is currently not available. Rather, the cheese on the Skywrath Mage that isn't going to expire. Honestly, I think the cheese should expire after some time. But yeah, we are going to have some big damage items coming up from HOG for this next engagement in the form of the Daedalus for the Faceless Void, as well as Mirana picking herself up a damage. Although not committing fully to the Daedalus, as she really can't. Here comes the push. They're going to LSA up the Viper. They have a Laguna Blade, but Viper's pretty darn tanky, and even though it goes through BKB, it does not go through Corrosive Skin. They're looking for the damage, but it's going to come out with the RP onto 2. Refresh RP, not going to be necessary as buyback comes up from Evasive Bolt. They pull back in Key, and now they're going to potentially throw out the RP, but the damage is enough, and they slow down Malin. Malin's going to lose his secondary life after his Aegis. They need to focus down now as to where he does not get it. There's a big Chronosphere coming out from Bato. He's going to catch out 3. The LSA going to land as well as the Lights, or as well as the Laguna Blade. They're not going to have the secondary RP, and now Gimli going to be focused down by the Daedalus of Faceless Void, but now Faceless Void being focused down. He's backtracking some of the auto attacks from the Viper, but it's not going to be enough. He's too darn takey with the heart. They buy back on pretty much everybody. They want to fight this so badly. You'll set around the lane. They're looking for potentially an RP. What's the Magnus doing? He's going to cast absolutely no spells. Skewer not going to be attempted. Shockwave is going to be thrown out. The cast coming out from Tif is going to save him for a little bit longer, but Silence as well as the Arcane Bolt is going to be enough to drop the gem onto the deck. And Fab 5, they spend all of their buybacks. And this might be HOG's hoping. They're looking for RP in the mid, going to be canceled. There's the RP. It's not going to secure the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast to land. And then with the Butterfly, not sure if he's going to have an advantage with the Ancient Apparition. He sure will. And that's going to be a lot of heroes down on the side of HOG. At this point in the game, the Lina is feeling more or less like a support despite having a lot of farm. The way that she's building, no boost trouble, buyback from the Witch Doctor. They want to end this, and they want to end this now. They're going in with vengeance. They don't have any ultimates available on either side, with the exception of Laguna Blade, which is a fairly low cooldown, as well as Skyreth Mage, Ulti, and Viper Strike, which are all really good. We have Shiva's Guard blink forward. They're looking for the LSA. The LSA is going to miss, and the Laguna Blade's not going to come out. The Abyssal Blade going to cancel that one. And no buyback on the Lina. They need to fight here, and the Witch Doctor continues to look at it go. The Skyreth Mage Ulti going to do a lot of damage to top. He's buybacked, and he can't really afford to die here. The Skyreth Mage going to throw out a couple of spells. In the end, going to be repelled. The tier 3 tower is down, and their base is pretty much in full breach. They're going to get the LSA. It's going to land onto Gimli. Gimli is going to fall, but they're going to be able to skewer back the Lina into everybody else, and she's going to die. That's going to be a dieback coming up from Lina. Now they're looking for more as SLHC and company are trying to focus down this Doom, but their tier 4 tower is taking a lot of damage, and now their barracks, I think it's just going to straight up die to creeps. Do they have enough to defend against this? They do not have backdoor protection on this, and they're pulling off the creep aggro, but the catapults just don't care. Unfortunately, there is some huts available, and they will secure it for now, but a costly fight, and I think that almost all of the gas is out of HOG's tank. They have a Faceless Void in 20 seconds, but this just might be Megas before then. Key going to be jump back, skewer into the rest of the team, and Key drops an ultimate with his dying breath. It's not going to be enough to secure the kill on Tib, and now Malum, he's jumping in with the Armlet. He's doing some decent damage, but it's not enough as Doom goes away with Mirana, and now Malum forced to back off and defend his Ancient. The Ancient is at about 1600 HP. And GG, called out by Key, would have been a lot more climactic to have the base trade, but the RP comes out on the sidelines as well as the Chronosphere, and I think we have just witnessed a very long and hard to watch game of Dota as both teams are going to drag this out. It was a very close game and exciting to watch those team fights, but for the longest time we didn't have one. That is just game one coming out from both of these teams. You heard that right. Fabulous 5 are 1-0 in the series. It is a best of 2, so we're going to have more Dota 2 action coming out on HeflaTV shortly. So don't go anywhere. The next lobby will be up without much of breaks, some music, some ads, and then more Dota. I don't know. Hope for more clashy games as Fabulous 5 pull out a victory. Although, HOG were looking pretty strong there. I'll talk about that more in the next draft.